Most people imagine a blackout as one simple problem. The lights go out, you grab a flashlight, and you wait for the power to come back. But a real blackout is not just about darkness. It changes the way your home works. It changes how you cook, how you communicate, how you stay informed, how you protect your food, how you manage water, how you move around your house, and how calm everyone feels while normal routines are interrupted. The first 72 hours after a blackout are often the most important because that is when people discover what they forgot to prepare. Not because they were careless, not because they ignored the risk, but because power is so connected to everyday life that we only notice it when it disappears. The first few minutes usually feel simple. There is a click, a flicker, a sudden silence, and then the house feels different. The refrigerator stops humming. The air conditioner or heater shuts down. The Wi-Fi disappears. Clocks go dark. Chargers stop working. A room that felt normal 1 second ago suddenly feels unfamiliar. At first, most people assume it will only last a few minutes. They check the light switches. They look outside to see if the neighbors have power. They pick up their phone, maybe expecting a quick alert from the utility company. Someone says, "It will probably come back soon." And sometimes it does, but when it does not, that is when the first phase begins. The first hour of a blackout is mostly about orientation. You are not solving every problem yet. You are simply figuring out what happened, what still works, and what needs attention immediately. The best thing you can do in that first hour is slow down. That may sound too simple, but it matters. Blackouts create small moments of confusion. People start walking through dark rooms, opening the refrigerator repeatedly, burning phone battery, searching for candles, or trying to solve 5 problems at once. A calm start prevents bigger problems later. The first practical step is to confirm whether the outage is only in your home or affecting the area. If nearby houses, streetlights, or businesses are also dark, it is probably a wider outage. If only your home is affected, it may be a breaker issue or something local to your house. Once you know it is a real outage, the next priority is light. This is where many households lose time. Flashlights are somewhere, batteries are somewhere else, and nobody remembers which drawer has what. A simple blackout becomes frustrating because the most basic tool is not easy to find. Prepared homes usually have lighting in obvious places, a flashlight near the bed, a lantern in the kitchen, headlamps in an emergency drawer. Extra batteries stored with the devices, not scattered across 3 rooms, not buried under old cords, easy to reach when the house is already dark. Good lighting changes everything. It lowers stress. It prevents falls. It lets you check on children, pets, older family members, and important areas of the home. It lets you move with confidence instead of guessing your way through a hallway. During the first few hours, people also begin using their phones heavily. They check outage maps. They message family. They scroll social media for updates. They turn on the flashlight. They watch videos because there is nothing else to do. And then the battery starts dropping. One of the biggest mistakes in the early hours of a blackout is treating your phone like nothing has changed. Your phone becomes your communication tool, your information source, your map, your clock, and sometimes your only way to receive emergency alerts. That means battery life becomes important. The smart move is to reduce brightness, close unnecessary apps, use text messages instead of long calls when possible, and save power banks for when they are truly needed. If you have portable chargers, this is when they become valuable. If you have a small solar charger, a power station, or a car charger, those may become part of your plan later. But in the beginning, the habit is simple. Stop wasting battery before you know how long the outage will last. Food is another concern that starts quietly. At first, nothing seems wrong. The refrigerator is still cold. The freezer is still frozen. Everything looks normal. But the clock has started. Every time the refrigerator door opens, cold air escapes. Every time someone checks the milk, looks for snacks, or stands there deciding what to eat, the temperature rises a little faster. In the first hours after a blackout, the best refrigerator strategy is simple. Keep the doors closed. Know what you need before you open it. Take items out quickly. Close it immediately. A full freezer stays cold longer than a half-empty one, and a refrigerator does much better when it is not being opened all day. This is why shelf-stable food matters. Not because you expect disaster at every moment, but because it keeps you from needing the refrigerator right away. Crackers, peanut butter, canned fruit, canned soup, tuna, shelf-stable milk, granola bars, instant oatmeal, and other simple foods can help you get through the first day without putting your cold food at risk. The first 12 hours are often when comfort becomes the issue. During the day, a blackout may feel manageable. You have daylight, You can move around, you can see what you are doing. But when evening comes, the house changes again. Darkness makes small problems feel bigger. Children may become nervous. Pets may act differently. Adults may get frustrated. Normal routines disappear. Dinner is harder. Entertainment is limited. The house may get too warm or too cold depending on the season. This is where preparation is not just about gear. It is about routine. A calm household knows what to do next. Lanterns go in safe places. Flashlights stay where people can find them. Phones are charged only when needed. Food is planned. Doors and windows are managed carefully. Everyone knows the basic situation. You do not need a complicated system. You need a few simple habits that reduce confusion. If the blackout continues overnight, the next concern becomes safety inside the home. People often reach for candles because they are familiar, but candles come with fire risk, especially when people are tired, distracted, or moving through dark rooms. Battery-powered lanterns are usually safer and easier. If candles are used, they should be placed away from curtains, paper, bedding, pets, and children, and they should never be left unattended. Another major safety issue is carbon monoxide. This is where calm preparedness becomes very important. Outdoor grills, charcoal stoves, camp stoves, and fuel-burning generators should never be used inside the house, inside a garage, or near open windows. They can create a danger you cannot see or smell. A blackout is inconvenient. Carbon monoxide is dangerous. If you use a generator, it needs to be outside, away from doors and windows, and used according to the manufacturer's instructions. Extension cords need to be rated properly. Fuel needs to be handled safely. This is not the time to improvise. As the blackout reaches the 24-hour mark, the situation changes again. The first day is often powered by optimism. People assume the power will return soon. They make do. They snack. They use phone batteries. They avoid thinking too much about longer-term problems. But after a full day, small inconveniences begin to stack up. Devices are low. Food safety becomes more serious. The house temperature may be uncomfortable. Work may be disrupted. Internet may still be out. Some stores may be closed or crowded. Gas stations may not be operating if they do not have backup power. At this point, water becomes a bigger topic. In many homes, the tap may still work during a blackout, especially if the water system is not directly affected. But in some areas, especially with private wells, electric pumps, apartment systems, or larger infrastructure issues, water access can become limited. That is why storing water at home is one of the most practical preparedness habits. You do not need to overcomplicate it. Having several gallons of drinking water stored in a clean, accessible place gives your household options. Water is needed for drinking, basic hygiene, simple food preparation, pets, and sometimes flushing toilets depending on your plumbing situation. A blackout teaches people quickly that water is not just something you drink. It is part of how a home functions. By the second day, decision-making becomes important. This is when people start asking, should we stay home? Should we go somewhere else? Do we have enough food? Is the house getting too hot or too cold? Is anyone medically dependent on powered equipment? Do we need to check on neighbors or relatives? The right answer depends on the situation, but the best decisions come from calm information. That means having a battery-powered radio can be useful, so can official alerts, utility updates, and messages from local authorities. It also means not relying only on rumors from social media. During outages, misinformation spreads quickly because everyone wants answers. Good preparedness is not panic. It is filtering information. You look for reliable updates, you check your supplies, you think about the needs of your household. Then you make one practical decision at a time. By the second day, food planning also becomes more deliberate. If the refrigerator has stayed closed and the outage has not lasted too long, some food may still be safe. But once food has warmed beyond safe temperatures for too long, it becomes a risk. The freezer may still have frozen or partially frozen items, depending on how full it was and how often it was opened. This is why a simple appliance thermometer is useful. It removes the guesswork. Instead of asking whether something seems fine and you have a better idea of what happened inside the fridge or freezer, when in doubt, it is better to be cautious with food. A power outage is frustrating enough. Food-borne illness makes it much Worse, shelf-stable meals, even simple ones, help you avoid that problem. A preparedness pantry does not need to be fancy. It just needs to contain food your household will actually eat. Food that can be prepared with little or no cooking, and food that fits your real life. By the 48-hour mark, comfort and morale matter more than people expect. This is the part many preparedness discussions overlook. Supplies matter, but so does the emotional rhythm of the household. People get tired of darkness. They get tired of heat, cold, silence, boredom, or uncertainty. Children may need reassurance. Adults may need a break from constantly checking updates. Everyone may feel more irritable than usual. A prepared home has small ways to make the situation feel normal. Books, board games, a deck of cards, simple meals, a predictable bedtime routine, battery lanterns placed in the same spots each night, a check-in with family, a plan for charging devices, a way to make coffee or tea safely if that matters in your household. These things may sound minor, but during a blackout, normal habits become anchors. Preparedness is not only about surviving inconvenience, it is about reducing stress so people can think clearly. By the third day, the outage is no longer just a temporary annoyance. It has become a household management problem. Laundry may be piling up. Trash may need attention, food supplies may be shifting, batteries may be lower, some people may need to relocate, especially if indoor temperatures are unsafe or medical needs cannot be supported at home. This is when the value of a simple written plan becomes clear. Not a thick binder nobody reads, just a practical plan that answers basic questions. Where are the flashlights? Where is the water stored? What food should be eaten first? How do we charge phones? Who checks on relatives? What local places may have power? What do we do if the house becomes too hot or too cold? Where are important documents? Which neighbors might need help? A blackout reveals whether your household systems are organized. It also reveals what you should improve later, and that may be the most useful part of the first 72 hours. Every outage teaches you something. Maybe you need more batteries. Maybe your power banks were not charged. Maybe your flashlight was broken. Maybe your pantry had food, but not enough easy meals. Maybe you had water, but it was stored in a place that was hard to reach. Maybe nobody knew where the radio was. Those are not failures. They are notes. Preparedness improves through small corrections. After the power comes back, many people simply return to normal and forget everything they noticed. But the best time to improve your readiness is right after the event, while the lessons are still fresh. Recharge every power bank. Replace used batteries, restock water, review food storage, write down what worked and what did not, move important supplies to better locations, add one missing item at a time. You do not need to build a perfect emergency setup in one weekend. You need a home that functions better when normal systems pause. That is the real goal of preparing for the first 72 hours after a blackout. It is not about fear. It is about making your home calmer, safer, and more capable when the lights go out. Good blackout plan gives you light when the house is dark. It gives you water when routines are interrupted. It gives you food that does not depend on the refrigerator. It gives you communication when information matters. It gives your family a sense of direction when everyone else is guessing. The first 72 hours are not just a test of supplies, they are a test of habits, where things are stored, how people react, how quickly you organize, how well you protect your phone battery, how safely you cook, how calmly you make decisions, how prepared you are to keep life simple until power returns. And the good news is that most of this can be improved with small, realistic steps. Put a flashlight where you can reach it in the dark. Store water before you need it. Keep a few easy meals on the shelf. Charge your power banks on a schedule. Choose safer lighting. Keep refrigerator doors closed. Have a way to receive updates. Talk through the plan before the next outage. Preparedness does not have to be dramatic to be useful. Sometimes it is just a lantern on the shelf, a case of water in the closet, a charged battery pack in a drawer, and a family that knows what to do next. When the power goes out, those simple things can make the difference between confusion and calm. And calm is one of the most useful supplies you can have. If you want more practical preparedness ideas that help your home stay ready without fear or overwhelm, subscribe to the channel and keep building your readiness one simple step at a time.